Hello, midlife sisters. Nicole and Melissa here for our weekly
Yes.
coffee chat. Hello, hello, month of July.
You believe it? 6 months gone by.
Yeah, we're
Crazy.
talking about macronutrients. Last week we kind of gave you an overview.
Mhm.
Today we want to dive into the topic of protein. Now, I'm
Mhm.
going to tell you that I never really paid a lot of attention to my macros. Really, I didn't. I mean, I had an idea, not until I started to gain some weight, a lot of weight. And then I was like, okay, what do I do? And I remember like for the first time, like measuring my macros. I was like, I never wanted to measure my macros. And I had no idea that I was either overeating in some and under eating in others. And so I definitely was under eating in my protein. And the one thing that you need to know when we're heading into the change of perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause is we really need to take care of our protein. And I'm gonna let Melissa explain why do we gotta try and keep our muscles and make sure we have enough protein, Melissa?
Right. So there's sort of two things there is you need the protein because that provides the building block for muscles. And we got to have muscle for so many reasons. One, it's simply padding around our bones. So in the event you fall, hopefully you bruise and bounce versus break. When you are building muscle, you're putting tension on the bones, which makes them stronger and denser. So again, in the event you fall, you don't break your bones. Because it can be so scary if we are not doing those things, bones can become so brittle that someone can fall and doctors will question, was it the fall that broke their bones or did the bone break and cause the fall? They can be that brittle. They literally just causing the individual to fall. So because we're losing muscle mass at the beginning of at as early as age 30, if we are doing anything to counteract that, that's why we need such a focus on protein because we need to at least keep what we have, if not build even more. Another important thing with muscle is I love this, it's called your glucose sink. So when we eat food and it gets converted into glucose, and if there's too much, the body says, all right, where am I going to put this? And if the body can put it into our muscle stores, it can retrieve that the next time we go to work out. But if we don't have enough muscle mass, the body's like, all right, that choice isn't available. Now, where is it going to go? And it can go to a lot of scary places like our brain, our heart, and things like that. And fat, of course. How can I forget that? So there's so many reasons for muscle. And then the obvious ones, right? The more muscle mass you have, the stronger you're going to feel, the better posture you're going to have. You are going to have more confidence with that. You're going to have more endurance. You're going to have more energy. So important for us to have that muscle. And that means we absolutely need to be eating to build the muscle. And then we've got to do the workout, though, to build the muscle. We can't just eat protein and expect it to build muscle for us. So you got to eat enough protein in order to exercise to use the exercise to then build the muscle. So important. So important.
Yeah, and
Not
so
easy.
I mean, as a nutritionist, the number one question I get is, okay, well, how much protein should I eat in a day? We're going to talk about that, and
Right.
like, what are my sources? So I
Right.
was a vegetarian for a very, very long time, and there was a season that it served me well. And then as I was heading into this transition, when I got my advanced blood test done, it showed that I was very depleted in my amino acids, my building blocks. So I ended up starting to add eggs. Well, do you know that on average, an egg is about 6 to 7 grams of protein, depending
That's
on the
it.
size of it. So you're like, okay, so if I'm eating 2 to 3 meals a day, let's say even 2 meals a day, or yeah, let's start with there. And you're like, okay, for breakfast, I'm going to have 2 eggs. Well, that is, 12 to 14 grams of protein. And most women are doing that. So, our goal is to try to get a woman to have about 30 grams minimum at each meal. So the old like two, two eggs for breakfast is not going to do a woman well, especially if they're only having two meals, maybe three at the most. So you're going to have to get creative. Maybe you're going to have to, do an omelet with an extra egg. Maybe put some, turkey bacon in it, or thinking about if you can do dairy, it's yogurt or cottage cheese, or, just
Mhm.
adding it up. I do at least one protein shake a day. I have to, just to get my protein levels in. Now, most of you know that Melissa and I are taking the course Fasting Like a Girl certification. We're almost done, which is exciting. I love her teachings, with the focus of women losing weight. So if it's a woman and she's trying to lose weight, minimum 75 grams of protein. Okay, minimum 75 grams. So I would recommend that you do a tracker. There's called the Carb Manager, is one where you can track and find out like how many grams of protein are you doing in a day. And you might be really shocked. So losing weight about 75 grams. And the only reason why it's not maybe higher is because maybe too much protein for an average woman who is insulin resistant can actually trigger an insulin spike. Not for everyone, but that's why I do promote to play around with an insulin monitor just to see if that is the case for you. But for most, 75 grams at a minimum to start. Now, Melissa, who's a personal trainer and is working, let's say, with a woman that maybe is already at her body weight, her healthy body weight, but she's really wanting to tone up, bring more strength in, there's a different formulation. And I'm going to get Melissa to explain what that could look like in regards to how many grams of protein for somebody that's not wanting to lose weight, but really wanting to build that muscle.
Yeah, it's another 25 grams of protein minimum. So 100 grams. And people that don't track their macros, they kind of are neutral to that. They're like, okay, until they ask, well, how much is an egg? That's usually the very first question I get. And then 6. Oh, okay. How about a chicken breast? On average, 25 to 30 grams, depending on the size. And their eyes bulge out of their head. They're like, how on earth am I going to get that much in to my diet? And I'm going to be the first to say it is not easy. You have to think about what are you eating? Make sure you have those high protein foods available in your house, and sort of just really like I'm always looking, okay, I had some cottage cheese earlier. How much is in there? And I looked, okay, there's 17 grams and half a cup. I'm like, holy cow, half a cup of cottage cheese. That's a lot, but okay. And then I had these turkey sticks, and I know there's 7 in each of those. So I'm like, all right, 2 of those, I'm at 28. I just had my smoothie. It's probably a scoop and a half of protein powder in there because I make it for me and my husband. I give him a little one, I have the bigger one. So what did I just say? 28 plus at least another 30. So I'm at 58 grams at least right for my first meal. But it's not easy. You got to think about all those little things. So yeah, the yogurt is great. Cottage cheese is great. Smoothies are so good because a little trick that I share with people is put less ingredients in your smoothie, like less fruit. I like to put in mine. And and then still the same amount of protein powder. So your smoothie ends up being smaller in size. So you can get that in, and then you may be able to eat another one later in the day. Whereas like this used to be full, and now I have it maybe 3/4 of the way, so that I can get a same amount of protein, yet less. I'm not as full because I'm not eating as many calories from fruit and spinach and things like that. So yeah, it's super important to get your protein in, and it's not easy. It's definitely focused until you get into a routine. And I was just thinking about that today. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to start eating the same thing every day because then I know I will hit my protein goal. So,
Yeah, for sure. So, depending if you're fasting, depending if you are having a feasting day, take a look at your protein, track it for a week. And you might be surprised. I was just having this conversation with my neighbor Tina, and she's like, and she's like 6'6" 6'1", And she is like, I'm trying to get over 100 grams, and she goes, the only thing that keeps me accountable is my tracker. If I
Yeah,
didn't have my
makes it easy.
tracker, I would fall off. So we're always sharing different things. There's one protein that I really like. It's called Thrive. I just buy it off of Amazon. It's 13 grams. It's actually, I guess you would call it like a meat jerky or a meat stick. And it's 13 grams. It's really clean. And we're always looking for those clean proteins. This morning I had from Designs for Health a beef protein isolate chocolate flavor. It was so good. So I was like, okay, that's 21 grams. And then I had a scoop of almond butter. So I'm like, okay, that's 5 grams. And then I was like, right? Like that's how my
Yeah, we
brain
start
is
counting. Oh,
going.
there's what I actually looked at blueberries today, and there's 0.3 grams of protein in. Oh, I forget what the quantity is, probably a cup. I'm like,
Yeah,
all right, well, if I do that 3 times, there's a gram.
I know. So it was like, so
Every
my
gram counts.
protein was, then I ended up doing 4 scoops of collagen so I could get another 20.
Right?
And so I got up to 46 grams of protein in my small smoothie because I'm doing that hack because I only did a half a cup of blueberry, a handful of greens for my liver and detoxification for my tower garden, and then some water and some almond butter. So it was small, but it filled me up. And I was like, yay, I'm at 46 grams. That's going to fill me up probably until an early dinner tonight. And then I'm going to, try to get up to at least, that serving of meat, which on average, Melissa said is about 30 grams. So I will get to my 75 grams of protein, but it's work. It's
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. It's good though, because it's about eating. Okay, I gotta eat, and I gotta eat some more.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, if we don't, lack of protein can actually make you lose muscle mass, because we're losing it naturally just based on our age. And if you're not fueling that, you're going to be losing muscle mass, which in turn cuts your strength. It and then strength can lead to lack of energy, harder to keep your balance. It slows your metabolism. So don't be afraid to really up your protein. Having said that, though, don't feel you have to go from, oh, you realize, oh my gosh, I'm only eating 40 grams a day, which is kind of on average what I hear from most women when they look at what they're eating, because we've been brainwashed to believe, oh, we got to eat carbs and not too much, all that stuff, right? But don't feel that all of a sudden you're going to go from 40 to 100. You may feel sick. Like, oh gosh, how can I eat that much more? Just add it here and there. Like you said, collagen, right, Nicole? So maybe add collagen to your coffee if you have the unflavored one, or I have a flavored one, and it's actually 12 grams in a scoop, and it's flavored. So I just put it in with hot water or cold water, depending, and drink it like a tea or a flavored drink. So you can get some more in like that and just continue to up your protein. Super important. So
Yeah.
important.
And I will end it with this. Of course, the nutritionist will say, I want you to make sure that you are eating clean protein.
Yeah.
What do I mean by clean protein? Women, this is your chance to clean up how you're spending your money. And when I say clean protein, if you are eating meat, and you can also have vegetarian too sources, but like lentils is a great source of protein, right? Beans, nuts.
Beans,
But
tofu.
clean means for me, I'm buying my eggs organic. I am ordering grass-fed beef or organic
Grass
beef,
finished.
right? And grass finished. So I'm really looking at making sure that there are no chemicals in my meat. We do not need that as women going through our transition years. We have to keep it clean and protect our cell receptors. And the more toxins that we end up consuming, the more that our cell receptors is becoming less insulin sensitive. What does that mean? It means that we're not processing our sugars properly, and that's really when the weight can start to get stored. So that's why we talk all the time. Clean food, clean protein, and
Yep.
spend your money wisely.
Yep. Eat well, everyone, and go lift weights.
Thanks so much for tuning in for our coffee chat and protein. If any of this is resonating with you, if you're learning from our channel, please comment. We love to hear from you. Share the video if you've learned something and you know someone in your life really needs to hear it. Thanks, everyone.